What's up, guys? We are back with another Super 7 review, taking a look at something that I have never seen before in person, and stuff that is very much not the norm. Well, when you think of my channel, I'm sure. Reaction and, super cyborgs, and of course ultimates, obviously stuff that I get into very heavily, maybe too much. But we're taking a look today at something very different, but still very much on my radar and very cool too. So we're taking a look at this big monster. So Super 7 has for a little while been making these super-size premium format vinyl figures. And Super 7 is obviously known for making a lot of vinyl toys, and this is kind of like a natural extension of that for, I don't know, the more discerning collector who needs the biggest and in some cases weirdest entries for their shelf. So we're taking a look at the Fantasia, of course Disney, Ben Alligator. So this guy's getting an Ultimates figure, but before that he's getting this humongous supersized vinyl. So they did the Brave Little Tailor Mickey first, and we've already been teased that Pinocchio is coming, or maybe already out, and he is the second entry. Ben Alligator, he's an alligator with a red cape, and he is up to no good chasing hippos. And this thing comes in just the craziest box. It's very much part of the package. It's part of the experience in many ways, just like on an Ultimates figure where you get that fancy box, you get the slipcase, you get the very premium treatment. This guy is no different. So he's there, foil embossed in red on the front, his silhouette, and you've got this very, it's a very Disney looking box, like a big treasure chest almost. And big is an understatement. Like, it's really so big that I can't even take very good footage of it. It's just a humongous box. I have no clue where this is going to go because you can't get rid of something like this, but it houses a very big figure. So of course it gets a very big, very premium style package to go along with it. So yeah, we got something different and a little bit weird to take a look at today, but I am super excited to take a look at this Super 7 supersized figure. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Super 7 supersized Ben Alligator from Fantasia. Again, maybe not the most expected entry in this line, but one that I'm very excited about because I've said it when we did the Ultimates reviews. I love Fantasia. I'm a huge fan, and well, that's where this guy comes from. And he has he's got a little bit of a cool factor. He's definitely this very devious alligator with a red cape, with a crazy hat. And it's also a really good segment in Fantasia. So I'm not upset that this rather obscure, well, somewhat obscure character is getting his due in this very large format. We're also getting an Ultimates figure, which I'm equally as excited for. And this thing it's really hard to describe. Like, it's very different from anything I collect. It's a very different kind of, and I won't even say toy, collectible. It does have a little bit of articulation. It's not just a statue, but the articulation isn't necessarily the focus here. It's all about, well, for starters, the size and the design and what this guy can represent on your shelf, because let's face it, this thing is a focal point if there ever was one. He is over a foot tall. We'll do quick size comparisons here shortly, just to give you an idea of what you're actually dealing with. You saw that humongous box, and I really can't stress enough how big the box is. This thing's huge, and there's a lot of cool stuff here. For starters, he very much looks exactly like his on-screen cartoon counterpart. The design, the overall look and feel of this thing is just tremendous. I think he looks fantastic. The colors are super bright and vibrant. It's just got this very cartoon vibe, which works really well in this accentuated format. Him being so large, I think, is helping just kind of give them a lot more surface area to make that cartoon aesthetic, I don't know, thrive, for lack of a better word. He does, again, have a little bit of articulation, so you've got things like a swiveling set of arms to allow him to be a little bit more leering and lurching if you want to have him kind of looming over some figures. You've got some swiveling legs, although granted, they do move. They don't necessarily help you pose him. And then he does have a swiveling tail, so you can kind of switch that thing from side to side if you want to try to give him just a little bit of a flair on the back end. The articulation, though, is not the focus, and that's something that I have to stress. It's not meant to really be moved around too much. Pick a cool pose and let him sit there. I'm probably going to have his arms outstretched, kind of pulling that cape up around him. And the cape is, of course, a huge focal point, because not only does he look fantastic and have a great deal of detail in this incredibly cartoon aesthetic, he's got this really nice set of soft goods. So you've got this cape. It's not wired, but it also doesn't really need to be, because you're not going to get any real benefit from a wire at this scale for a minimally articulated figure. It just hangs on him really, really, really nicely. So you've got this really flowing red hooded cape. You can put the hood up, but it's kind of a tight fit. It's mostly meant to sit on his shoulders like that. The cape is also removable. There's a clasp underneath that ribbon around his neck, which is hidden pretty well, but you can take it off if you want a naked gator. So it's got a nicely sized, really premium feeling cape. You know, it's got kind of like a satiny finish on the inside and kind of like a, you know, a felty, velvety kind of feel on the outside. So it's got two different kind of finishes when it comes to the fabric, and it just looks good. It very much contrasts with the colors of the gator himself. And then of course you've got those red eyes which kind of tie him in together. And speaking of the eyes, I mean, those eyes are enormous. They're full of life. They have a lot of just, I don't know, character up there that kind of meshes with the white in the teeth. So you've got a few little hits of different color up top. You've got that super open mouth so you can see all of his teeth, and then that big pink tongue. However, while we're talking about the head, one of the coolest things about this figure is undoubtedly the little magnetic hat that he has. So he's got his little hat with the little plume on the top, and the plume is wired, which is fantastic. So you can kind of mold that into whatever shape you need. But the actual hat has a magnet in it, so you can sit it on top of his head, because it really has no way to be kept on there otherwise. So there's a magnet in the head, magnet in the hat, and it keeps it all cinched down, which is really cool. It's also a fun little thing to just plunk it down on his head, and for some reason that is incredibly satisfying. Now, I did talk about some size comparisons, so we'll do a few here just to give you an idea of what we are actually talking about. And we'll do some Super 7 stuff, and we'll do some other lines as well. We're going to kind of run the gamut with a whole bunch of stuff. So to start with, we've got another of Super 7's vinyl offerings, one of their Pumpkin Boys on the left. That guy's about 6-ish inches tall. And then we've got the Ultimates Mickey down here on the right to give you an idea of what he looks like next to another, you know, Disney iteration. So we've got an Ultimates figure, which is already on the small side, and our supersized figure, which is absolutely just freaking huge. Let's do some other stuff just because. Let's do a reaction figure just to give you an idea, kind of hammer it home when it comes to sizing. Here is the reaction Yellow Ranger. I mean, you can barely even see her down there. She just sort of blends into everything around her. And then here is an Ultimates figure. So there's Poomra down there, and again, you know, everything's going to be dwarfed by this guy. And then let's do a Marvel Legend. So there's your Wolverine. I really don't have anything to rival this guy right now. So as you can see, I mean, he's huge. Like there's no other way to describe it. He's a massive, big thing. So if you were concerned about shelf space or worried about what he's going to do to your display, take heed now. But he is definitely a force to be reckoned with when it comes to display ability and just what he's going to do. He's enormous, he's big, and he is a massive, massive focal point, because you can't not look at a giant green alligator on a toy shelf. So yeah, overall, while there isn't a great deal to truly talk about with this guy, because, you know, let's face it, he's just a really massive gator figure that doesn't do a great deal, there is a lot to enjoy about this. That said, this is certainly for a more discerning type of collector. I don't expect everybody who happens to also buy Super 7 stuff to be rushing to get this guy. This is for Disney fans, and this is for folks that like larger format vinyl figures. It's a very small subset of the collectible world, I suppose. But if you are into this thing, I really think you're gonna like it. It's just fun. Like that's ultimately what this comes down to. It's a fun, kind of goofy, big alligator figure that also happens to be from Fantasia and is wearing a wild cape with this crazy little hat. And it's just gonna look cool on your shelf. I mean, what more can you really ask for? He does have a really premium price point, but I think if you're into this sort of thing, he's going to be right up your alley. So yeah, that's going to do it for this look at the Super 7 Supersize Ben Alligator. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.